Call to order. Roll call.
President Brian. Present virtually. Jessica.
Yep.
Rafa.
Here.
Thompson.
Okay, good. Yes, I'm here.
Boyfriend.
Here.
Cindy Bernard.
Yes, sir.
And Vice Chair Staples is absent. Excuse.
Yeah, she's still in Germany, right? Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
her mom's not too well.
Oh.
Okay, so moving on to approving the minutes. Would like somebody like to make a motion?
I make motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it. Good job.
All in favor? Do we have anybody from the public? Or comments from the public? This is all us.
It's all us right now.
basically. Okay. John, does that mean when we go from topic, I should still ask?
Should just pause in case something.
Just say pause anyway. Okay, sounds good. Next, so oral communication from the public at this point, no, right? Then upcoming,
Very quick.
upcoming agenda topics, this is us. So who would like to suggest something? Peter, minus Jesse and Dawn.
I think we should have an extensive study.
Upcoming agenda topics for February and ongoing.
Well, last time I brought up have some community space for artists to do their drawing and a painting, and I don't remember that being discussed as a new topic.
What was that to do?
Did you say a community space for artists to do their work?
Yes, and some community, just like at the Coverly, they have that, you know. And we don't have the space for every artist to have their own studio, but could we have like a communal room for whoever wants to do some drawing and painting there?
Yeah, we can add that as a future agenda topic. I do think it's something that would probably be considered in the public art strategy. But we can still bring it to the committee as a discussion.
It is of ongoing interest, maybe gauge like kind of like what could be done at this point, or what are the challenges?
Yeah.
Give them a better idea. Very good. So unfinished business, 6.1 capital improvement program.
I was gonna give an update on, so we have the Rangsford Park maintenance building. So we did, we have talked with both artists, Harumo, we spoke with Fernanda Martinez, about her project. We did reach out to Harumo to set up a meeting. She connected us with, I think it's one of her staff members. We haven't set up a meeting yet, but we're working to kind of get them updated on next steps. The building that Fernanda Martinez will be painting on is ready. It's installed. So that the building was delivered and it is ready to be painted on, but we are kind of working through how to handle the contract in light of the state's requirements around needing a contractor's license. So one thing we're working with them on is potentially working with a different artist who has a contractor's license. So we're trying to work out how to set up that contract so that person who has the contractor's license gets paid fairly for their time and for things like needing insurance and
So you're suggesting having the original artist we selected, have their design, present that design to the contracted artist, the contract licensed artist, and they implement the design.
we're still working out exactly how it's going to
The
happen.
original artist would just be an employee.
Yeah, yeah, potentially
Wow.
something like that. So we're, so
And they would
Fernanda,
paint it together.
Or not even.
yeah, we're not,
Even paint it.
Because
Yeah,
if
we're
there's a
not
second
100%
artist
sure.
involved, I think the visual arts community would have to take a look at that, because it could come out in a very different style.
well, we need to
Not
solve this
years.
contractor's license requirement, yeah.
Yeah, no,
um,
you could just have a shell corporation, somebody with a contractor's
Yeah.
license who just was the middle person.
Yeah, and if they don't have a contractor's license, the alternative is that it doesn't happen until the state requirement goes away or changes or if we're able to come to an agreement on some substrate form that can be done offsite and then installed. But there are some concerns around kind of the longevity of, or type of material to use to install that, and then thinking of things like cost of the, like the, whatever that substrate is, and kind of getting it back and forth. We're kind of weighing a few different options. But Fernanda Martinez's side of the project is more readily available. The building that Haruma will be painting on, it's not scheduled to be delivered until, I think, February. And so we have a little bit more time to kind of work out some of those details. Do you have any other updates on projects?
Sure. Yesterday evening, City Council approved the boathouse project as recommended by the VAC. So that was approved. The other small update is the Rangsdorf Aquatics Center has actually received a temporary certificate of occupancy. So what that means is Community Services Department staff will begin to move into the building. Everything's installed. The pool has been tested. They're trying to get staff into the building, get trained on kind of the new aspects of the building. And once that is done, they will have a grand opening. So they are envisioning a grand opening here in the very near future. They are working on transitioning staff from the Eagle Pool over to the Aquatic Center. So stay tuned. We'll certainly engage the current VAC members and what will be our immediate past VAC members, should they be interested in attending the ribbon cutting, grand opening celebration event for that. And the three artists.
Yeah. And then the other big update, last night, the city council approved the Shoreline Boathouse expansion public art recommendation. So that includes Stephen Galloway's proposal to do the on what it is. Yeah, the panels that'll be on the walls of the boathouse, and then the purchase of the bench. And so we met with Stephen Galloway this morning to kind of go over initial contract requirements and timeline of things. That'll be about 2 years out before the project gets done and things can be installed. And for the bench, we have a meeting scheduled with the artist tomorrow to have the same kind of conversation. Since the bench is painting, we'll also have to try and come up with
It's familiar
a
because her
solution
project was
around.
also delayed on Castro, right? Because she's, that's what chose to do a Bollard.
Yeah, and Sophie got it. Yeah, so we'll also have to figure out kind of some solution and an option. We've considered potentially delivering the bench to her studio, doing something. She proposed the idea of a mural cloth, but we'll have to talk more with community services about how sustainable that is at Shoreline material. But we've got a few potential solutions to being able to get that done and installing that.
Is the bench being paid for
Yeah, that was in
by
the
this?
proposal to city council.
Yeah, so the bench will be provided.
If it was the
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah,
That's
so
not
the
going
bench
will
away
be-
from our.
Yeah, the bench, so the purchase of the bench and the payment to Anne Sophie would be from the the Fire Station 5, that reserved funding. So the total, with kind of some contingency and some staff costs to remove the existing bench, do the install.
Okay, so it does come from the art budget. It doesn't come.
It would, yeah, it won't come from, so the Shoreline Boathouse expansion, that total budget was like $121,000. That's going to Stephen Galloway. And then, we requested an additional appropriation of 17,000, so that's 4,000 for Ann Sophie plus, I think it was 12,000 about for the bench, and then, some contingency for staff time, from the Fire Station 5. Then that's all we have for.
Still no one from the public. Are there any questions from committee members?
Cliff trying to get all of us.
No, he should. He
You
took his
could, right?
notes.
Yeah.
He just really loves his phone.
All right, then 6.2 would be update from the ad hoc committee. This was me and Cliff. And Cliff sadly had to miss because his dog had an emergency. So and because it just happened, it happened at 4:30 this afternoon and it was supposed to be a meeting between Cliff, me, Anita, and Manny, who is the tenant at Savvy Sellers. And the purpose was to just present the list that Cliff and I had to put together with the criteria of a broad style of artists, all very experienced and local. That was kind of our, and this is already the narrowed down list. We had originally 15 people and put 5 kind of on the back burner. There was not a hard no with anybody, but we were very much in agreement who we liked a bit more than others. So Kirsten, if you would just want to go maybe slowly through them. So these are the 10 artists that Anita gonna contact now and just see who's interested to work. This is in no way fine. I mean, what Cliff and I tried to do is narrow down the list from a huge list, right, to 15 people who we felt would work. And then we really wanted buy-in and by Manny and really, and Anita was also fine with all 15. She liked the selection. But it made sense because we were very clear who was maybe a bit weaker than the others, that we cut a few. So this is the 10 people that Anita's gonna contact. And you can see what we've tried to find artists who tell a story, who have those big panels, because the requirements were inclusivity, history, colorfulness. And these are all people who can deliver on that. So
These are.
happy to share the list with others, but this is what we put together. She also applied for the Boathouse. She was our alternate.
Oh, yeah. It's a big bird.
And they all have like their own unique qualities, right? We picked them for different reasons, but we felt like they would all work. And then with Marta, we kept it as a small chance she would not be in the running, right? Because of the pass, just as a little bit of a disclaimer, but Manny liked her a lot. We like her a lot. We kept her as it will be contacted.
Why would she not be?
I don't think, if she was selected for this, then I don't think that would disqualify her from doing the train station.
For the great separation. You were not on a committee yet.
We selected her originally to
For
do
the
the
great
art.
separation for the underpass, right there, right? You can't possibly do the underpass and the train station.
Okay.
Like that would be
She can.
She could, but yeah, that's not the point, but figuring that the project doesn't really have a future,
That project is like way out there, yeah. And
she,
possibly-
she could potentially be a really good candidate.
Will this list go forward too as they come up with more projects, I imagine?
Definitely this is in the possession of Anita now, so, yeah, hopefully she will contact others from that
I'd
list
hope that,
as
you know, the
well.
current project isn't just a one-off and they,
No, it's not.
and there's
She
more
is
to do.
very
yeah.
busy. And so what's gonna happen next is that she's gonna contact those 10 people and we're gonna hear back from her. She's planning on the people who gauge interest, tell them more about the budget and and ask them for like a 1 or 2 sentence proposal. What they're envisioning, if they have work that would speak for what they wanna do. Just a very short kind of. And then she would bring it back to us and we would discuss. Who, and maybe an alternate we would bring forward to the city.
Cliff, are you talking to us? We can't hear you.
Yeah, no sound.
You're not, we have you on mute, but we don't hear you right now.
Yeah, we could, yeah, so.
This is fun.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
She's
cool.
just kind of managing this herself. Or does she have a
I
team?
mean, the list Cliff and I,
Right.
but yeah,
after that-
she pretty much
Nice.
handles the whole.
Yeah.
With maybe texting us
Hold
now.
on, let's see.
Oh, he's- You're gonna
Can you
try.
hear us, Cliff, on your phone? Hold on, let me try and.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Change technology. One thing, if I could add, well, just a second.
He's having problems again.
You can have two devices connected.
Oh, what the heck,
Reverb.
Yes, I see.
Better?
There you
Yes.
go.
Okay. Cool. One thing I'd just like to add to what Susie was saying, Anita is very, very clear what she wants on the, for the artwork. She's a very clear objective and goal of which she can provide to the artist. What we don't know is whether, and she's also very clear how she wants to get it manufactured. And she's reached out to the manufacturer who will make the panels. So she's very clear on what and how she wants it made. What we don't know, and that's why she needs to reach out to the artists, is who of these artists are going to be interested in this type of project that she has. So that'll be very interesting for me personally, to hear back from these artists who wants to engage with her on this specific project.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And we try to hit a good number that's not too big and not too small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the update, hopefully more in February.
Excellent. That's exciting.
Alright. Any questions?
Still slow.
Moving on to the big topic then, the next steps to preparing a public arts. Nice input from our outgoing.
Yeah, so, we gave this update, orally last month, and so just, for the for you guys to, have a chance to look through, the city council had their study session in October to talk about public art strategy. And they were really supportive of moving forward with this and really gave feedback to focus more on community outreach. And they gave some additional feedback on kind of different programs and policies to look at as part of doing a public art strategy. So we put together some sort of next steps or a potential draft for a community outreach plan. That's in the packet. It has a little green mark on it, the outreach plan. So we put this together and what we want to do and the amount of outreach we want to plan for. We think we really need to get some outside consultants to come in and help us get that done successfully and to be able to provide some additional value, like offering some arts activities around like a workshop or focus groups or and then to really kind of take all the feedback that we're getting and putting it into kind of helping us summarize it and into the policies and programs and best practices that we want to include in the public art strategy. So our question for you tonight is, our questions are kind of seeking input on this outreach plan. So we have already sent it to several consultants. We've had a conversation with a few of them. We have some conversations with them. In the next week with more, and I'm slowly getting some responses back from other companies to help organizations that I think could provide some really good help on this project. And so we're looking for feedback on the outreach plan, really around things like the people that we're reaching out to, potential groups to include, and then we want some feedback on or input on things that the group can help with. Understanding that we don't have a budget for this, but we were asked to do this really big task that will take a lot of time and effort.
You don't have a budget to pay the consultant?
So we don't have a designated budget for it, but we're going to have to make an ask to be able to get help to do this. So what I've asked of the consultant so far is to kind of put together a little bit of an a la carte menu that we can look at and choose from, and maybe we can propose something a little bit bigger, and if we need to bring it down, we can do that. But then there are things like some cool ideas that we've thought of or as part of doing this community outreach, or doing things like site tours of art in the community, or maybe bringing an artist who's done art in Mountain View to talk about their art as part of this way to get feedback and kind of get interest in this, and having your own networks of artists and having been involved in these projects, we'll be able to have the visual arts committee members involved in some of that effort too, or other things I've thought of, or helping with creating really visually pleasing kind of outreach materials. Like if we just have a little bit of a brand of our for the public art strategy, if there are ways you can maybe you can bring your expertise in, and to the two committee members leaving, you can always still volunteer your time. We wouldn't be mad.
Keep us in the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something about outside, non-VAC artists or local artists can be here.
Yeah, so.
I hope we go with arts build community people.
Yeah, that's one that we
specialize in this exact thing. We've hired them before to do the same thing. So
Yep.
we met them at the SV Creates meeting. Well, I think you met them for the first time there. And they
Yeah.
seem to do a good job.
Yeah, we reached out to Arts Builds community. They'll be submitting a proposal community strong strategies, ABG, AVG, I can't remember the second half of their name, group. And there are a few others that we reached out that I've reached out to. And we're taking care of. Yeah, oh, go ahead.
So what you would like to hear back from us is general feedback on.
Yeah, general feedback and I think kind of looking at we've gone over to the draft outreach plan, so things like the key stakeholders. So in this, we've included broad groups and then a few very specific groups. Some of the specific groups are people that we're working with already, people that were recommended by the city council, or groups that were recommended by the city council, or maybe were talked about at at these meetings. And in terms of advisory committees, these are all groups that would be involved at different capacities and doing public art or programs or things. Maybe we want to talk about stakeholders first.
Maybe we go one by one.
If we're including neighborhood association, then we also would go out of our way to do extra outreach in those neighborhoods that don't have active associations. Right now, since that tends to skew like, lower income apartments, all the neighborhood associations seem to be more single family home kind of communities, or at least the ones that are like very consistent and put together. And these other ones kind of pop up sometimes. They kind of pop up.
And I have similar feedback. I was just at the tree lighting and there's all those cultural ethnic associations, right? The Hispanic neighborhood association, I think it was called an Ecuadorian, a Chinese one was there who had a booth. And I think those are definitely for the stakeholders.
Yeah, one of the the departments that we have on here is the multicultural, or I guess they're a division, but the multicultural division in the city manager's office. They work really closely with a lot of those groups, and so I think, yeah, I agree, that'd be a good.
I think that's important. And with the schools, to me, the high school is missing. I don't know how, how if we strive to include absolutely everyone or leave this a bit open, but I feel like if the Richmond School District is included, then definitely middle and high school as well. I think overall, I feel like we should be open if, that this is not like restricting us too much in the sense of if we forgot someone that can't be included anymore. Any other feedback on stakeholders?
Part of me wants to say, wow, we gotta tighten this up. This is gonna take years to get feedback from all these people. When generally, we have, so many other people have done the work for us that we can practically cut and paste what we want. On the other hand, the other little, the little angel on this shoulder says, no, it's Mountain View. Let's make it Mountain View. Let's get the input and let's make this. I don't know what I would expect any of these groups to say that would really change the plan. I gotta find out. So, but this is gonna take years.
So keep in mind, the list is not meant to have necessarily individual conversations with every single bullet point on this list. This is really trying to understand the range of folks we would want to engage. And so part of this might be in terms of we're getting there, but like who's the universe that should have some, we think should have some input, or we really value their input in helping shape the strategy. What's the universe is the big one. And then once we start to get into the components, it's more about how do we do this? Is it we have 3 focus groups. We blast out to everyone. But these focus groups, we define what the things we're going to talk about in those meetings. So you can pick and choose whether you fit more in maybe this focus group or this focus group. But this gives us a place to start to engage a multitude of constituents, and then how we do it. And this is where the consultant can help us. And committee member Cup mentioned the prior consultant. So they have ways of doing exercises with people to draw out some of these thoughts and feelings about what art is and how they interpret art. So it doesn't mean we do every single bullet point. It's just for the stakeholders, it's trying to understand what is the general universe that we think would be valuable to at least communicate. We want your feedback, making sure we're coordinating with our colleagues in other departments. Push this out to this group, push this out to this group, push this out to this group. Doesn't mean everyone participates, but at least we're getting, casting the, but casting net. That's really what
I
this
like
first.
that voice of experience. Yeah, it's like, yeah, no, you guys have done this before.
But add that we have to, council needs to hear that it's important to the community.
Yeah.
Reach out to the community to engage them, the different aspects of it, from the youth to the diversity, so they're aware that we're trying, the city's interested in this. They need to, the council needs to hear back from the community that the community is interested in it.
Yeah.
That they're gonna have, it's gonna increase fees or whatnot, that the community wants to see it. Reaching out is just, Jesse said, you know, to the neighborhood communities, our organization is a great way to embed it into all the neighborhoods and pass the word and engage people. Same thing with the youth, getting the youth advisory engaged on it. It's a great way to, you know, increase the involvement, because the youth advisory committee is a very active group. If they get excited about it, the word will spread. And so I think it's maybe not so much for us to hear back, but for them to hear that we're interested in doing this, and are they interested in wanting to participate? If they are, then that'll make it easier to sell, I think, any ideas to council when we get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to add to John Ancliffe's points, so the, looking at sort of the outreach, strategy or community engagement activities, you know, we may only do one community, community at large, maybe if we give, like 1 to 3, like staff, depending on sort of the level of engagement we get, but the goal would be to focus outreach on these different groups. And then in terms of focus groups, we I think would want to focus on artists who are working with you know, the people who are trying to bring this developers, thinking of like, the art and private development and getting their feedback and buy-in on doing something like that.
I just noticed under the cultural and historical organizations, you have some of the big names. But I think there's some other more local groups that could be contacted. So Pacific Art League was one, and Cavalry Community Center we mentioned. That's a lot of local artists, and then Artists Mountain View is the Chamber of Commerce runs. And those are, it's a good mix. More local artists than we get from SV Creates or local color and stuff like that. Like they should also be included.
You said Pacific Art League.
Pacific Art League, yeah, they're in Palo Alto, but they have a huge number of artists who are members, and a lot of them are really small local artists. The last show I went to, I think there were over 200 artists.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
They do some nice exhibits.
Yeah, and then Cup really has probably a more professional level of artists overall, maybe because they're just
Lots
they're
more,
in there,
yeah.
they're in the studio all day. They're like
Yeah.
working. That's where a lot of our artists and public art people apply from. And then Artist Mountain View, the small little chamber group, but it's pretty local, not very professional overall. But there's a couple for artists in there too.
Gotta come by for coffee sometime. I only get those like the day before. I showed there must be a big schedule.
And as I did let the different consultants that we talked to so far know that we're meeting tonight. If there's any substantial recommendations from you guys to include in their proposal, we'd let them know. In terms of like what we get from them and how they're going to do their community engagement activities might vary a little bit, and depending on the budget that we're allowed to work with. We may have to adjust it a little bit, but this is, I think, kind of the goal, is to do, we'll do a lot of online messaging and do in-person community workshops, focus groups. We have Collaborate Mountain View online survey homepage. The city has that, we can use that for an online survey too. And then the other idea was the site tours. And then we did put a timeline in here, so we're kind of thinking, well, we let council know in October that we anticipate bringing this back to them next fall. So this would be about a 9-month process. We're thinking, doing several months, a month or two of kind of initial prep and a few months of outreach, and then kind of pulling all of that together to present to council as the draft strategy.
So just to reinforce Kirsten's point, so this timeline, this 9-month timeline is really kind of get the additional engagement, feedback. How does that align with, inform, maybe alter, adjust work that the VAC has already done in terms of some of the strategies and actions? Do new strategies and actions need to be maybe tweaked, modified? Or wait a minute, there's a community sentiment that we weren't aware of.
Yeah.
That maybe we need to think differently about, and what are some strategies around that? But this is all built into the cycle of trying to bring a polished document for council in the fall. So when we say 9 months, it's not just outreach, it's outreach and start what's the summary feedback, and then how does that inform the strategies and actions? And part of the other feedback, this is not meant to derail this at all, but one of the key elements is making sure whatever the actions are, they're measurable. So it's not just, we want more art. Well, there needs to be some action associated with that you can measure. So there will be some re-screening of the actions that have already been done on, and that can work in a parallel process to make sure that council is comfortable with actions that are being proposed. So that was a big feedback. So in the first part of the memo, not attachment 2, but the first part of the memo does highlight that. So there is going to be more day-to-day work on the strategy going forward, but this runs in parallel with the community. So just wanting to make sure that's understood. And sorry, Kirsten, I'll make one other point. So recognizing traditionally, this body does not meet in January. The idea is to try and get whatever feedback we can, continue to have those conversations with the consultants. And if we can get consultants or a consultant or consultants secured in the next month. So basically starting February, you're hitting the ground running with, okay, we'll do 2 focus groups, 2 workshops, and a farmer's market outreach, or whatever that is, right? Whatever that defined thing is. We'll be able to speak to that at your next meeting, which would be. So those are the kinds of things we're looking to achieve. And so feedback now is what's kind of missing. So as Kirsten mentioned, how do we inform that with the consultants that we're engaging with, and that we can react to their proposals and do that homework while you guys are on break. Come back with something and a group that we're working with parallel with working the committee on some of the other modifications that council.
Yeah, I hope we just have to be super careful, right? Because we have two. Because there's two things we want to do. We want direction and feedback, right? And possibly inform what we've already done, but also engagement and buy-in, right? Like that it will
Yeah.
be easier to bring that strategy to life and be carried onward. And that's not easy to keep the two. So I think certain focus, so a focus group to me, for example, is more direction and feedback, right? But being on a farmer's market where people do more spontaneous, quick, I just want more playground art, is to me is more engagement, not that I would feel like it would inform our strategy that much. So I think it depends on what we're doing, right? What kind of outreach we're doing. And I think it's good to be very deliberate and really think about, and we're kind of doing it backwards, right? Traditionally, if you do design thinking, if you go with, you collect the information, you talk to the stakeholders before you have the slightest idea how you're gonna do this art strategy. We're not doing that. So we need to be aware that that is not the order, how it should be done necessarily. So that, to me, that just reinforces we need to be very careful, deliberate, really think about every step that we do and do it right. This is a bit tricky.
What I like about the focus group idea is you're essentially getting volunteers. You're getting people who have something to say. It's really easy to do the farmer's market and people haven't really thought it out. They're just throwing things out there where people have had a little time to think about it.
Yeah. And focus groups are great for that, right? You really pick the people and you talk about a specific topic. And that, to me, that's also something as a committee member where I think we should take part in. Like the other things to me are more volunteer based. If there are more volunteers needed, we should step in, but focus groups or things like that really one or two of us should be in the room and hear what people are saying. Because that affects the art strategy.
On page 2 of the attachment and number 3, it says focus group. I realize it says artists, neighborhood association leaders, and developers. So I just want to recommend that we change neighborhood association with maybe community leaders or something. Into groups like that they work with them. Or thriving nonprofit or something. So kind of balance out the largely richer, whiter neighborhood associations.
Yeah, and our multicultural division, they have a lot of really good connections, so we definitely work with them. Some good feedback on that, but thank you.
That's good. Any more questions, comments?
So
Great work on putting together. Where that needed, that was a lot of research on best practice.
and they'll say, man, once we got rid of Don and Jesse, everything just moved. Right.
It was so streamlined.
Those guys were holding us
Yeah,
back.
you 10 years you have to take back. It's not good.
Round number.
9 months. Don't say
Yeah,
9
yeah.
months.
You have to volunteer at least one.
That's right.
Outreach event, and then you can say that you still had an.
Doing my part.
Exactly.
Alright, this is good feedback.
Well, this stuff's all online. This stuff's all available, right? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to know when these are gonna happen.
Yeah, when all the definitely send things to the community. We can
Yeah, but just the outreach and stuff would be fun
yeah,
to watch.
Yeah, definitely. If you're not already signed up for some of the other newsletters, we have the artist registry
I
newsletter.
can't find the artist registry again. An artist asked me, I looked on the website and that just reminded me, I meant to ask you guys to bring it back because either it's buried real deep and it's hard to find, but
Put a note to.
when I went to the drop-down menu of all
We have
the,
we
all the
have a
lists you can sign up for and it wasn't there.
On the public art website, so that's, it's econdev.mountainview.gov. We link directly to where you can sign up, so that is one option. But I, also send you a link. You kind of have to go, when you go in, you have to like put in your
It's not
email.
on our
It takes you to this
city.
list of
Yeah.
long list, and then artist registry is under, I believe it's developments, but, I will send an email out with it.
Maybe it just wasn't in.
I could never be on that before because it was a conflict of interest, but I could even.
No, well, now you can.
Maybe-
Then you can apply
Yeah.
for our
I
call
know.
for artists.
I
You
know.
can still get the emails.
We can get the email, yeah. Is there a VAC specific newsletter? You know, in this list where you can sign up for city newsletters, are we a specific one or?
It's not a newsletter, but it's, you can sign up for VAC notifications.
The agenda.
Yeah, that goes out when you get,
Yeah.
when we post the agenda. Mhm.
Because that might be a good channel to send
Mhm,
stuff
mhm.
to interested people. And those two, that we keep them in the loop.
Right. Put us to work.
Sounds good. On to the fun part, 7 new business recognition of committee members.
So recognized.
So in your packet, there's a very brief memo, but this is really just a chance to acknowledge 2 committee members that have definitely contributed a great deal to the Visual Arts Committee over the better part of over 11 years. Both have been significantly involved in a lot of projects most recently. So wanted to really commend Jesse and Don for their time, their expertise, and certainly their participation in the Visual Arts Committee. And very appreciative of their contributions, and I know the city certainly appreciates it through their award ceremony, but as a body and amongst your peers, we're very grateful for the time you've invested in making View better through art. Just wanted to acknowledge that. We do have some goodies, so for the members that are present, sorry. But we do have some goodies here, and it was just a chance to really acknowledge and thank you. There is no other thing. If other committee members wish to make statements, are more than welcome to do so, but it's just making a very public acknowledgement of your contributions to the city. So thank you very much for doing that. It's very appreciated.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Don.
Make a big check.
I feel weird thanking myself.
You guys. I just wanted to say I learned a lot. You guys, you were always around when I started,
Well,
right?
the system works well where there's always some people that have been
And
around for
I
a
will
while.
definitely
'cause the
remember
history is
words
important.
of wisdom of Don. I think
But
you're
just-
great at like getting the gist of it, like really.
Well, I'm concerned that without Jesse,
And
Jesse's
Jesse's abundant
contribution
ideas.
of being a tireless advocate for local artists. I think everybody has to promise to
And you
carry
need
on
to
with
promise
that.
Jesse that you still do that.
Yes, I
That
still
you
do.
get them informed, that you get them to show up.
Mhm. I'll do that. I wish Cliff was here and Tutu was here.
Yeah.
And Regina, hopefully she's
We'll
doing
eat a
okay.
cupcake for you.
We'll eat one for you, yes.
Maybe not. The holiday season's been brutal.
Sounds good.
Actually, today is not a good day for me to be here. I've been coughing so much. Yeah,
Oh,
better-
no.
So I don't, yeah, but I send my best wishes for the 2 of you too. Yeah.
Thank you.
You.
That's nice.
All right.
No, just on I think he's having some challenges with the.
Cliff?
He's still online. Let's see if I can.
Shall we wait a sec?
Sure, let's see if I can. Oh, he just.
We lost him.
Uh-oh. Oh, we're down to 4. Yeah.
Did he sign off on
I-
purpose, maybe?
No,
No,
no.
he's back.
Oh, we still have.
There you are, there you are.
There he
Oh,
is.
Very good.
Hey, sorry about the technology. Again, I wanted to just echo, I'm really appreciated, love working with Jesse and Don over these last few years, and certainly Jesse's leadership team for several years, and tireless advocacy for art in the community. It's been great, and Don's been wonderful to work with as well. So I'm gonna miss working with you guys.
Well, we passed the baton to you guys.
And 2 new people.
Well, yeah, but no, you guys got to be the big dogs.
Train them up, train them up.
Yeah.
Well, but you're out loose now,
That's fine.
community, and as we do outreach, you can join and echo. And
I'll be happy to help with outreach.
And join the meetings.
Yeah.
Finally say what's really on our minds.
We haven't.
I wish I could be there, but my unfortunately my dog had a bad, so
We hope your dog's okay.
Gonna be
Thanks for
okay?
joining online.
he's asleep now. He was in surgery.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, wow.
So he'll
Okay,
get
good luck.
Good luck, yeah. All right, you guys, let's finish up committee staff comments, questions, committee reports. This is the miscellaneous.
As was alluded to last time, so next Tuesday night, city council will be looking to approve different committee positions. They went through interview processes in November, and this is the actual appointment process. There were 2 incumbents in the VAC that were running, as well as we had additional community members that were interested in running. So there will be 2 new VAC members. That agenda should be published, I believe, tomorrow. So if you are curious, there is a recommendation for who's being recommended to be on the body, so you can see that. Council still needs to take action, but there will be 2 new members joining the committee. And that once again occurs on the 17th. So council meeting for the 17th. There is also a change that council will be considering to the A2 policy. The A2 policy hasn't really impacted this committee. It has impacted some other committees based upon the interpretation of residency. So to be participating in committees, the charter basically says you need to be a Mountain View voting resident. And that has had some implications to some advisory boards and committees. So there are some modifications being proposed to the
There's at least one.
A2 policy, which should resolve that. So it has not, at this point, directly impacted the VAC. It was impacting another committee that the staff are actively engaged in, but there are some slight tweaks occurring to that, which should eliminate any future issues with individuals that may have art backgrounds, be passionate about art, but may not necessarily live in Mountain View, or may be a good fit for this committee. In
Or might not be
in-
citizens.
in the future. So there are some definite changes being occurred, so with the intent that we're not out of compliance with the charter, but it creates the opportunities for individuals who want to serve and can serve.
That's not happening now. That will happen.
That action is supposed to be taken on the December 17th, which will be
Okay.
effective 2020.
Okay.
Would
'Cause
that
I had a
work?
friend who was really interested but she doesn't live in the city limits.
I have two artist friends who would have applied if
Yeah.
if they were allowed to as non-citizens.
Yeah, so next
There are
time.
Artists that are really good,
So
would have a lot to say.
So there are changes coming, so that may, for future opportunities, may make the candidate pool a little bit bigger and interesting to some degree.
All right, adjourning the meeting at 7.
Wow.
I reckon
Wow.
time,
Happy holidays.
6:59, 6:59.
You run a meeting.
You are a tight ship.